Right, hey guys, and welcome back to the Crawl Room. We're here once again in this wonderful ranty room for all things Formula One. So the Brazilian Grand Prix has come to a close, and what can be said about that? What a spicy weekend that was. Had a little bit of everything, didn't it? We had some fantastic charges through the field after poor qualifyings. We had an intense midfield battle for some quite high up positions in the end, with some bigger teams dropping out due to damage and contact and things. It just had a little bit of everything, and Brazil delivers once again. It's proof that circuits like this should remain on the Formula One calendar forever and ever. Amen. So if you've never seen this series before, I want the drivers to have a maximum of 10 points based on their overall race weekend's performance, and I go all the way down to 0 if they have a particularly bad one. Take a look out for bonus points there. Sometimes not, for some drivers do something extra special during a race, and on the rare occasion I do all minus points, those drivers do something extra special, but for all the wrong reasons. As this is a sprint race format, this season I've decided to award up to 3 additional bonus points if people have a particularly good sprint race and have a particularly good race, or the main race itself might not be very good, but the sprint race may save certain drivers somewhat from sheer embarrassment. They may get a few extra bonus points from me for the sprint, even if they didn't do anything in the race, so keep an eye out for that. And without further ado then, let's take a look at the current Crawl Room standings then going into this episode. It's on the screen now if you take a look at, and have a look and see where your favourite driver is right now, and based on how well they did this weekend, can you see them going up? Can you see them going down? George Russell still with a relatively handsome lead out there, number 1, but was it a difficult day at the office for him once again this weekend? You'll have to wait and see what I score him. Can any drivers that are sort of just drifting away from him have a really good weekend and close the gap? It's very, very tight, isn't it? Very, very tight. We've got quite a lot of the weeks awarded as well. Kimi Antonelli still on his final warning, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. And yeah, we'll take a look at the team standings as well, shall we, while we're here. Of course, these are accrued cumulative of what the individual drivers have scored, and then I can manipulate it separately, as you can see there, with the minus points and the plus points at the side of some of the teams. Those will be added and deducted at the end of the season. Come the finale in Abu Dhabi, we will have a final pecking order for the team's champions here on the Crawl Room. So still a lot to play for in both drivers and teams. And yeah, looking forward to getting stuck into this one. So we'll kick things off with the race winner then, shall we? Oh, go on then. Lando Norris. What a fantastic weekend by Lando Norris. Now almost one whole race victory ahead in his championship fight against his teammate. He has a 24-point buffer over Oscar Piastri now, which is absolutely delicious, and almost 2 full race victories ahead of Max Verstappen, 49 ahead of the Red Bull. He's had a fantastic weekend. He got pole position for both the sprint and the main race itself, and not only that of course, but he delivered those pole positions into victories, so won the sprint and then won the main race as well. Well done to Lando Norris for that. He did nothing wrong this weekend. He drove maturely, drove really cleanly, and was never ever a threat for anyone else. He was always leading everything and delivered a really solid weekend. The weekend he needed now. Does he have one hand on the trophy? I'm not too sure just yet. I'm still not quite ruling Max out. However, it is looking more and more unlikely now, isn't it, unfortunately? The dizzying heights of the US Grand Prix, where he ate into that advantage so much, has slowly faded away now as the races have gone on. But yeah, still nonetheless, 24-point lead over Oscar. Something can still happen. Another mechanical failure and everyone's right on his heels. So I'm not ruling it out just yet. But with just 3 races left plus a sprint, 83 points left in the kitty, 24 points ahead of his main rival in Oscar, 49 ahead of Max. It's looking good for Lando, but the way he's been in previous races earlier on this season, I wouldn't put him past him start throwing it all away again, but we shall see. This weekend overall, though, has been impeccable for Lando Norris. He has delivered what that car is capable of, and he's getting a full 10 points. Full 10 points to Lando Norris this weekend for him. I'm not giving him any bonus points for the sprint, and for the main reason is that car should do that job anyway. It should always be winning everything anyway, and the fact that he still had the cheek to say, I don't think we had the fastest car this weekend. He still had the cheek to say it after he'd won and got pole position and everything. What a load of bollocks. So yeah, Lando Norris can thank me for the full 10 he's getting, but he's getting no bonus points for the sprint performance because he's done the job that is expected of the car, and that's worthy of 10 and nothing more. If he excels and does incredibly well and laps the entire field, then I'll start thinking about bonus points. But doing the job that he's capable of, the car, It's a full 10 points to Lando Norris. In second place, we come to Andrea, Kimi Antonelli. My driver of the weekend. Is this the first weekend we've really seen him have a strong, firm grip over George Russell? I think it is, you know. I think it is. Both qualifying, sprint and main, and both of the races, sprint and main, he delivered the goods well. He just felt like he was so comfortable in the car, so comfortable around the track, and just did a stunning job. This is the first time I've ever looked at Andrea Kimi Antonelli this season and gone, that was good. That was really good. Like, very impressive. He's had some solid drives here and there. The podium at Canada, of course, everyone's like, oh, hallelujah, hallelujah, he's got P3. But George won that one. Here he is, P2, finish ahead of Max Verstappen, his own teammate, and McLaren. He's done a very, very good job to be here this weekend and has always delivered that. P2 in the sprint, P2 in the main race, fantastic qualifying efforts as well. My personal driver of the weekend. This is the first time I've ever seen it and gone, wow, for what he has done this weekend. It has been impeccable. So, for Andrea Kimi Antonelli, he's getting 11. I'm giving him a bonus point just for the main race itself, just because of how well he resisted the pressure from Max at the end there, hunting him down on much fresher soft tyres. And, yeah, resisted the pressure well in that aspect. And just driving so smartly, driving so maturely. He got a little bit lucky not to pick up massive amounts of damage when, of course, Oscar Piastri decided to harpoon him. He was lucky that Charles was on his outside to, you know, kind of stop him from fully spinning, to be honest, because had he not had Charles on his outside, it would have been a full pirouette. As it was, unfortunately, Antonelli tagged the front left of Leclerc, and Leclerc was out. That wasn't Antonelli's doing, though. That was all down to Oscar, of course. But yeah, Antonelli this weekend drove so maturely. So it's 11 for the full race weekend performance, and then an additional 3 bonus points for the sprints. That's 14. 14 Antonelli's getting. And let's not forget, he's on a final warning. And has been on a final warning this season since about Italy. But since I've given him a final warning, he's finally booked his ideas up and started delivering. He's not done the usual what the drivers do on this series, which is be really shit, get disqualified, and then do really well, like Carlos Sainz this season. So yeah, Antonelli, absolutely incredible weekend. 14 points total to him for a fantastic performance. In third place, we come to Max Verstappen. He still finds a way to get onto the podium, doesn't he? Yeah, what could be said for him this weekend? The car didn't look great in the sprint format, did it? Ran around in P4, poor qualifying, but P4 in the race itself netted him a few points in that sprint. Fair enough, great effort, solid enough performance. They decided to go something drastic in the sprint, in the main qualifying itself, and it didn't work. Out in Q1, the first time ever Max Verstappen has been out in Q1 due to no crash or no mechanical failure with the car, just poor pace and performance. Yeah, shocking to see. We didn't expect him to do anything from that position, but then they elected, we're at the back anyway, let's stick a new engine in it. Let's change the setup drastically once again. Let's pit lane start this bad boy and see where we get to. Here he is finishing P3, chomping at the heels of Antonelli in the closing stages, but just didn't have enough tyre life to get around Antonelli. But you know what? He also was unlucky in the race. He picked up a puncture and had to stop. It was lucky that the virtual safety car came out for the incident involving Piastri, Antonelli, and of course Leclerc pulling off to the wayside, because without that he'd have stopped under full green flag conditions and would have lost a hell of a lot more time. But he got himself up to P13, had to tumble back down to the back of the grid once again, unfortunately, due to the puncture. And that sort of put him in an offset position where he had to go longer on the mediums in the race, then pit for the softs and do a little bit longer on those than he would have liked. So even in the race he was compromised. Without that puncture, could it have been a victory? Could it have been a victory? I'm going to say it was unlikely, in all fairness, but it would have been guaranteed P2, and I'd think it'd have been within DRS of Lando. I just don't think he would have maybe quite got there to have the pace advantage to overtake the car. But yeah, P2 would have been guaranteed without that puncture. And yeah, unbelievable performance this weekend from Max. It's a perfect 10 from me for him, for what he's done this weekend once again. Out driving that car, but even on the main Saturday qualifying, even he couldn't outdrive the car. It was that bad. A perfect 10 to Max Verstappen. Finishing in fourth place, we come to George the Russell. Watch out for that top 5. Here he is securing a top 5 finish once again in P4. But not a great weekend by George. P4, his teammates P2. His teammate had his pants down all weekend, didn't he? George, where have you gone? We always said about this end-of-season slump George Russell tends to have, or has a mid-season slump somewhere. And I was saying about the last couple of races where he's been outside the top 5, I was like, yeah, but that's probably just the pace of the car. Is it? Is it, though? Here he is finishing P4, which is still a good effort and still a great points haul. Puts Mercedes firmly into second place in the Constructors now. So a great haul of points, but was shown up by his teammate all weekend long. At a circuit where George took his first ever race victory in, let's not forget that. So there's that to play a part as well, isn't there? He's been really good around this circuit before in the past as George. The car was clearly capable of podium places this weekend, and yet he still doesn't deliver. Interesting one. Let's see how he goes for the rest of the season. But this is the first time I've gone, oh, George, we're having that slump again. We'll see how he goes. But for now, this weekend, for me, personally, for George Russell this weekend, it was very average. And for that reason, it's 5. Middle of row 5 to George. A very average performance. The car clearly had a little bit more in it. I'm not saying it was victory, but it was certainly a double podium for Mercedes. Should have been guaranteed based on the Ferraris both falling by the wayside, Oscar taking a penalty. Verstappen shouldn't have really been able to close up that much and overtake him. I'm sorry, it just shouldn't have happened. So yeah, a middle of row 5 to George this weekend for me, for him. A solid P4 finish, a great haul of points, but shown up by his very, very inexperienced teammate all weekend long. And in 5th place, we come to Oscar Piastri. What's your favourite pastry? Fucking hell. He's driving like a pastry's been sat at bottom of a canal for 4 months, hasn't he? Jesus Christ.
My debut season in Formula One had some notable moments and everyone had high hopes for my career. Sadly, I failed to live up to expectations in my second year and was dumped by Toyota mid-season in favour of Riccardo Zonta.
And there we have it. It's another of the week. Cristiano de Matter of the week too. Oscar Piastri. Jesus Christ, I think that actually makes it 5 in a row now, and he is literally on a final warning. He can make no more mistakes this season, or he will be thrown to the dogs and into the disqualified pile. He needs to watch himself now, because this has been a devastating run of luck for him this season, to be honest with you. Ever since that summer break at Zandvoort, he had a 30-odd point gap over Lando Norris, which has now been put into a 24-point advantage to Lando. He's lost like 60 points for no fucking reason, apart from driving like a dick. Takes Charles Leclerc out of the race courtesy of bumping into Antonelli, and once again he just did this usual, oh, I was alongside. No, fuck off, you words. If you're alongside, you wouldn't have hit his fucking back tyre, would you? You wouldn't have tipped Antonelli into a half spin. Yeah, drives like a donkey, crashes in the sprint. How can we possibly forget that? Crashes in the sprint. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. He's blown it, hasn't he? He has totally blown it. He's lost his head. I know we're only 3 seasons into his Formula 1 career and his day will come and all this lot, but he had a 30-odd point advantage after Zandvoort. That should have never, ever been eroded away into the point where it's not even close. But the 24 points ahead now, Lando. That is just disgusting. And he's not had any mechanical issues. It's all been down to him being shite. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Both of the McLaren drivers have bottled so much this season, but now it appears that Oscar's bottling it a hell of a lot more than Lando ever was, and I can't believe that after looking at the likes of Canada with what Lando did. Unbelievable. So yes, for Oscar Piastri, it is Cristiano de Matter of the week to him, and not only that, I'm deducting every single point he's currently accrued on the series, so he will go back down to 0. That will have a massive impact on the McLaren team as a whole as well in the team standings, but I don't care. It has to happen. It's disgusting. It's disgraceful. And that's that. 6th place, we come to Ollie Bearman in the first of the Haas cars. What a phenomenal driver he's turned out to be these last few races, hasn't he? Found his feet, found his confidence, found the pace in the car to deliver regular Q3 appearances and consistent, heavy scoring points opportunities now. A 6th place followed up from his 4th place last time out. He's just driving incredibly well, isn't it? And the fact is, after qualifying P8 this race, for the main race itself, we were a little disappointed in that, weren't we? We all thought there was a little bit more in it. Unfortunately, his second push lap just wasn't wasn't quite there. He tried to overdrive the car a little bit and lost time because the Q1, Q2 appearances that he made, he was inside the top 3. So we were all expecting maybe not a top 3 but a top 5 start, but it wasn't to be. He ended up starting P8, but in the race itself finishing P6. Mighty drive, great performance. He was helped out massively by the fact that the cars behind him then started squabbling amongst themselves. That gave him a nice little buffer to just do his own race. He was miles behind the next car in 5th, but had a good buffer over the cars behind. So he drove to an incredible P6. That's 20 points in 2 races he scored for that Haas team. He has single-handedly turned the Haas season around for them from being 9th in the standings to chomping at the bit now on Aston Martin. They're only a few points behind Aston Martin now, aren't they? For 6th in the standings. So yeah, they are having a mighty, mighty performance at the moment. So yeah, well done to Haas's Ollie Bearman. What a wonder kid he's turned out to be. It's a perfect 10. It has to be, doesn't it? It has to be. Picked up a 5-second time penalty for a slight collision in the sprint. I'm ignoring that. The sprint's a separate entity. I'm not giving him any bonus points for it. He's just getting a perfect 10 for what was yet another perfect weekend. And I know you could say deduct a bit for qualifying, but when you're putting a Haas car in 6th place on the road in a race, that's incredible. And I don't care what anyone else says. Perfect 10 to Ollie Bearman. Finishing 7th place, we come to Liam Lawson in the first of the Visa Cash Out. Max Tampon RB, buy one, get one free. Don't forget your AlphaTauri, your Taurus, or your Minardi. Don't you dare, don't you dare! Liam Lawson long disqualified on this series. I think he only lasted 11 races and then fell by the wayside. Might have even been less than that, you know. But either way, Liam Lawson disqualified anyway. We can't talk about his race and we can't really discuss anything about him because he's disqualified. Can't score any points, can't do nothing. But P7, good effort, I guess. And finishing behind his teammate is, of course, it's a Kajur! It's a catch. It's a Kajur. That's right, David Croft, you utter wanker. It is Isaac Hadjar. Well done to Isaac, finishing P8. He was disappointed with it, though. The strategy didn't go his way. He was very critical of that at the race end in the interviews. Started P5, which was a great effort. Got both of the RBs into the Q3 session, which was fantastic. And then was hopeful that he could maintain that position, especially when you had the 2 Ferraris retire. The penalty for Piastri, as already mentioned. You know, but it didn't happen, did it? It didn't happen. And unfortunately for him, he ended up tumbling down the order, had a little bit of a squabble at the end. He was trying to defend from Hulkenberg, and then Lawson got Hulkenberg, but then Lawson got Hadjar, or something like that, wasn't it? But there was a big squabble between the 2 RBs and the Stake Sauber, and in the end it ended up being Lawson, Hadjar, and then Hulkenberg. So yeah, Hadjar not very happy with P8, but he says at least it's some points, but he felt there was more on the cards. Could have been a P6 this weekend, is what he was expecting. And it didn't quite happen for him. Isaac Hadjar, I think he was a little bit critical of himself. I'm giving him a solid 8. Solid 8 for the weekend overall. A stunning qualifying performance. Didn't quite work out in the race. Actually ended up having a little bit of a love tap with his teammate, didn't he, in the final stages of that race, that we didn't see on telly. Obviously, we have to look at the replays. Of course we do, because who needs live sport when you can just watch someone cross the line and win a race? I know you have to do that, but when there's fucking squabbles mid-pack, it infuriates me. So yeah, Isaac Hadjar, P8, he's disappointed with it. I think it's solid. A solid 8 to him. And as mentioned, securing 9th place and picking up a couple of points for the Stake Sauber Kick Me Up the Arse team. It is, of course, Nico Hulkenberg. Oh, needed that. Nico Hulkenberg secures a couple of points for the Sauber squad, which is a good effort. It's a shame it wasn't a little bit more. He was fighting with one of the RBs to get to 7th, tried to make a move, lost out, and ended up losing out to the other RB, dropped to 9th, and then couldn't do anything else. So had he maybe just kept it a little bit cleaner, but of course he has to fight. There's another 2 points on the cards, but instead of being 6 points, it ended up being 2. Maybe he should have just consolidated his efforts and gone for the 4 that he already had guaranteed. It's the look of the draw, isn't it? Sauber looking like they're going to be finishing 9th in the standings now, which appears to be a little bit of a shame for them, doesn't it? But they've got quite a big deficit to the team in 8th place now. Can't remember who it is off the top of my head. Maybe still Haas. Maybe RB. I can't quite remember. But either way, yeah, whoever's in 8th, there's a 10-point gap now. So that's quite a lot. That's quite a big effort when you're only considering you're normally fighting over 8th, 9th, 10th as an absolute maximum. in a normal race, of course. So yeah, let's wait and see how the Sauber squad get on. Hulkenberg this weekend was a little bit up and down, wasn't it? It was nice to see him get P10 in the sprint once again, and then finally get a Q3 appearance in the main qualifying to secure himself P10. I don't think there was really anything more in that car that he could have given. I just think a P10 was where he should have been. Fair play to him for that, for finally making a Q3 appearance. And in the race, picked up a couple of points. Fought to try and get to 7th, missed out and dropped to 9th. He had a crash in the main sprint, which was unfortunate, but I'm not going to hold it too much against him. Do have to knock off a few points for that, though. So he's getting a solid 7. Solid 7 for Hulkenberg. Think he got the most out of the car. There was definitely a P7 on the cards there that didn't quite prevail. And, of course, in the sprint, knocking off his front wing was unfortunate. And that's that. A solid 7 to Nico Hulkenberg. Rounding out the final points paying position, we come to Pierre Gasly. Oh, congratulations to Pierre Gasly, securing un point in the main race. But not only that, picked up another un point in the sprint by finishing in 8th. Outdrove the car this weekend, all weekend long did Pierre Gasly. What a fantastic performance. Had Antonelli not done what he did this weekend and beat George Russell hands down, it would have been Gasly for my driver of the weekend, personally speaking. But Gasly, what a stunning effort. What a fantastic effort. Seeing an Alpine cross the line in P8 in the sprint, and then to back that up with another point in the main race as well. An incredible achievement, withstanding the pressure from the... I mean, it was a massive gaggle, wasn't it? It was P7 down to like P17 come the checkered flag, wasn't it? It was absolutely crazy. Everyone was just in one long line trying to fight for these final few places. He had a couple of Williams cars behind him. He had... what else did he have behind him? He had everything, didn't he? He had pretty much everything behind him that should have been, in theory, already ahead. Fantastic performance by Pierre Gasly. A top drive. It's a perfect 10 for his overall race weekend performance in that main qualifying, in that main race, out driving that car, and it's 3 additional bonus points for what he did in the sprint. What a fantastic effort. He went well last year, of course, picking up the double podium for Alpine. It wasn't the glory of that these days, but after not scoring any points for literally months, the Alpine team, to pick up points on a Saturday and then points on a Sunday, it'll feel like a victory to them. Fantastic effort. It's 13 total to Pierre Gasly. Impeccable. Just missing out on the final points paying position, securing P11. We come to Alex Albon in the first of the Williams. I cannot believe the downfall that Williams have been suffering now. Haas seem to have got it together. You've got the 2 RBs in the points. Even a Stake Sauber scraping a couple of points as well. Even an Alpine picking up a point, and yet we don't see Williams anywhere inside that top 10. Big shame that. Big shame. Don't know what to say really. Just a very lacklustre performance by the team as a whole this weekend, drivers and team included. It's a circuit that I would have thought would have suited the Williams car, to be honest with you, but it clearly doesn't. Maybe they're not upgrading the car anymore now, so we're just tumbling down the order and just trying to consolidate the 5th that they've got in the standings. I don't 100% know. Alex this weekend did secure fastest lap though, which is the first time in 11 years that the Williams team have got a fastest lap in a race. That's the only consolation that we can really have towards what Williams did this weekend. It was a big shame all weekend long that they were just struggling for pace, and always the nearly man in terms of points payment opportunities and, you know, getting his Q3, things like that. Just didn't quite happen. It's 4 to Alex Albon, I'm afraid. A subpar performance, but not critical of him too much. Just how it is this weekend for the Williams team. They should have really had points, though, considering that Gasly scored 1. You know. So, yeah, it's 4 to Albon. That's that, I'm afraid. And let's move on to P12. Securing 12th place, we come to Esteban Ocon. Esteban to you. Ain't like Esteban Ocon.
I led 17 laps at Silverstone in 2003. OK, that mental priest running down the track assisted in that happening due to strategy. But even so, I led 17 laps at the British Grand Prix. We don't need to worry about whether I score points or not. Move along.
And there we have it. It is Cristiano Di Matta of the week to Esteban for yet another subpar performance. I know he was unlucky with the puncture that he happened to have a lap after Verstappen did, so the VSC ended and then Ocon had to pit and have to pit for a tyre replacement because, of course, he'd suffered a puncture, so I had to swap the tyres. Under green flag conditions, not ideal, and I get that, but still. Ollie Bearman, Q3 appearance, slightly disappointed with the P8 because we thought there was a little bit more in the car. Esteban Ocon, out in Q1, they elect to do a pit lane start like they did for Max Verstappen. Couldn't get inside the points. I know he was unlucky with that puncture, and I know he lost a lot of time. Even with that, though, P10, that would have probably been all that would have been on the cards for him. He was still in that gaggle, wasn't he? So yeah, he might have had good pace and may have scraped a point without that puncture, but he is being shown up hands down now by Ollie Bearman, and it's not good enough. A Q1 elimination when you've got Ollie Bearman in Q3 yet again. So yeah, very frustrating for me for Esteban. And potentially a harsh of the week, but then in certain other times I've not given him of the weeks and he maybe should have deserved them. So it's all swings and roundabouts. I also believe this is the 5th of the week for Esteban Ocon now. So if I'm right with that, then that's a final warning to him as well. So the ever final warning list is growing again, isn't it? So they can't make no more mistakes till the end of the season. That disqualified pile could end up being half the grid at this race, I think, if they all keep messing up. So yeah, Esteban Ocon, I think he's on a final warning. I'll warn him just to be on the safe side that he is. But yeah, he's had quite a few this season already, and no signs of stopping those just yet because he keeps being beaten by Ollie Bearman. It's an of the week to Esteban. Next up we come to Carlos Sainz, smooth operator. Not really again, is it? But Carlos Sainz long disqualified on this series before he had the podiums, of course, and before he was impressive. He had a very difficult run, as you know, at the start of the season and was awarded a disqualification earlier on this year. He's had some highs though, but this one is yet another low. And he's disqualified anyway. Can't score in points. Let's move on. Then we come to Fernando Alonso in the first of the Aston Martins. Where did they go? How impressive was that sprint to see both Aston Martins inside the top 8 and secure points? And then in the main race itself, it comes to qualifying, they can't get the cars into Q3, and you think, okay, well, maybe the strategy will work out quite well, and they'll be able to, like, you know, ebb a couple of points in there. I'm not talking about Stroll, of course, just Alonso. But then it just didn't happen, just fell away. Clearly the wrong tyre strategy to go for, and he just didn't work out. And here he is behind God knows how many cars that he should really have been finishing ahead of. Didn't do anything wrong, didn't do anything right, though, did he, to be honest? So, yeah. Fernando Alonso this week is a middle 5 for his overall race weekend's performance. I'm awarding him 2 additional points for what he did in the sprint. The sprint was impressive, so he gets 2 additional bonus points for that, taking his total to 7 this weekend. I was expecting big things from Aston Martin after that sprint weekend, and after we got the sprint race over and done with, but like I say, in the main race weekend itself, where big points are on offer, it just didn't translate. They were lucky they scored some points actually in that sprint, because without that I think RB could have overtaken them by now. Haas would have been a lot closer as well. So these count the lucky stars that they did something right in the sprint, but they got it all wrong in the main race itself. A solid 7 total to Fernando Alonso. And then we come to the second of the Alpine in Franco Colapinto.
If I hadn't been so critical of Toyota in 2004, maybe, just maybe, I'd have seen the season out. But then again, I was pretty useless, so maybe not.
And there we have it. Of course, it had to be a Cristiano de Mata of the week to Franco Colapinto, retained by the Alpine squad officially now for 2026. I mean, we say officially, how many races is that going to last before they sack him off and get sick of him? How did, of course, he repay the efforts of the team and to thank them for his efforts and thank you for keeping me for 2026? Stuffed it in the wall in the sprint race and then just didn't do anything in the main race itself to score any points at all. Meanwhile, his teammates P10 and P8. Of course, I'm not expecting Franco Colapinto to suddenly be better than Gasly, but he's been a lot closer to him in previous races this season when they've been squabbling over nothing. The race where it matters, where it looked like they had some sort of pace to maybe do something, it comes to no avail. We have a crash in the sprint, and the main race, he's well outside the points. If Colapinto had been P12, P13, something like that, I'd have accepted it, but he's just too far down the order for me to know that Gasly finished P10, scored a well-earned point. Colapinto's not even close to that, so it has to be a Cristiano de Mata of the week to Colapinto, taking him to a final warning. Himself hasn't got a of the week, 5 times, but cumulative of the Alpine car that is, of course, shared by Jack Doohan at the start of the season, that car's cumulative of 5. So that car is on a final warning now. So that even if they do decide they're going to mix it up and put Doohan back in the car again, which we know they're not, it's still on 5. So yeah, 5 of the weeks to the Alpine second car, and Colapinto is now on a final warning for his antics that happened in Brazil, which were very lacklustre compared to Gasly. Next up we come to Lance Stroll, disqualified anyway, and that's that. And then we come to Yuki Tsunoda in the second of the Red Bulls, disqualified anyway on this series, as he has been for a number of races now. Very difficult day at the office once again, and picked up a time penalty which he didn't serve correctly, so then he had to serve it again. That wasn't his fault, that was the team's fault, and finished last of the runners. At this point, I just don't know anymore. Then we come to the list of DNFers. So the last driver to retire in the race, the first on this list, of course, is Sir Lewis Hamilton.
After my Formula 1 career, I took a leaf out of the 90s rejects book and entered touring cars. Surprisingly, I was quite successful, achieving 3rd in the World Touring Car Championship in 2016.
And there we have it, an of the week to Lewis Hamilton, and I only have 3 to matter, so I don't know who the of the week is going to be, but it's going to be a good one from the back catalogue, of course. It has to be an of the week to Lewis Hamilton for yet another pathetic performance throughout the weekend. And not only that, I am minusing 10 points from his overall total on the crawl room. So you can minus 10 off that bad boy. Not sure if he's close to a disqualification now as well. I'm not sure if that's 4 or 5 he's had. So maybe a final warning to him as well. It's all happening thick and fast, isn't it? But yeah, Lewis Hamilton, I mean, what a disastrous weekend. Poor qualifying effort once again, and then knocked his front wing off on the back of an Alpine in the early stages of the race. Caused himself substantial floor damage due to the front wing going underneath the floor and damaging and ripping everything to pieces, and then retired the car once they realised that the car was still really dog shit in performance due to the damage. Save everything so it can last the end of the season. Lewis Hamilton has been disappointing this season, all season long, unfortunately. Mexico really was the top out on it, wasn't it? A podium potential there, but then just decided to go grass cutting and cut a corner, picking himself up a time penalty. This weekend, looking at Leclerc in the early stages of the race, of course, Leclerc was out before it really even began, but he should have been up there. He should have been up there inside the top 5. Languishing down towards the back, bimbling around, had a poor start, got mugged, was last of the runners that didn't have a pit lane start, then knocks his wing off on the back of an Alpine. Time to retire, Lewis. Time to retire. And then we come to Sha La La. Oh, sacre bleu. Sha La 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 La. An innocent victim in whatever went off between Oscar Piastri and Antonelli. No matter what your thoughts on that incident were, but if you think it was Antonelli's fault, you're deluded. But honestly, Charles Leclerc was an innocent victim. Did not deserve that, did he, at all? Yeah, Poor Charles. I feel so sorry for him. It just sums up his season, to be honest with you. He's been out driving and out delivering that car 9 times out of 10 all season long. And when it looks like he might have the pace just to hold on to a top 5, it goes all wrong at the start, doesn't it, when he's running round in P3. So yeah, big shame that. Big shame for Charles. Very disappointed. As you know, a retirement could score a maximum of 5 on this series, and that's exactly what he's getting. He's getting the maximum I can give him. It's 5 points to Charlie boy. Really sorry to see him by the wayside there. It was going to be an interesting fight, an interesting battle. Would have been really nice to know how he would have gone when you had the likes of George fading away, Antonelli fading away, you had Max charging through the field, how that would have played out, where Leclerc would have been, would he have been able to hold off for a podium, would he have been a P2 finisher, or would he have been P5 even, you know. There was a lot left in that we didn't know, unfortunately, because it was cruelly ripped away from us, that could have just made that final exciting battle that little bit more exciting. A maximum of 5 for retirement for Charles Leclerc, and that's that. And then last but by no means least, we come to Gabriel Bortoleto.
Outside of my podium at Indianapolis, I also scored 1 more point with 8th place at the Belgian Grand Prix, which is more legitimate points than Colapinto and Doohan have this season. Where's my bloody race seat, Flavio, you bastard?
And there we have it. And of the week to Gabriel Bortoleto. I think that puts him on a final warning as well, you know. Oh dear, there's loads with 5 now. No more mistakes. Did the occasion get too much for Gabby? I'm not sure. Yeah, he had a big accident in the sprint race, which I'm glad he was okay. Glad he was okay after that one. Just got a little bit too ambitious on the brakes, trying to overtake one of the RBs. Ended up spaffing it into the walls. A 37G impact into the main wall, into the pit wall, and then bounced off and ricocheted into the Armco barrier over the other side of the circuit, which was netted him a 57G impact, which is ridiculous, isn't it? It just shows you the testament and safety to the cars. Of course, crashing in the sprint meant his car was too badly damaged to take part in the main qualifying itself. The team did a fantastic job to get the wheels on and get it down on the ground with Gabriel strapped inside of it, but unfortunately it came too little too late. They didn't have enough time to get out on track, so he started firmly last position, which ended up becoming 18th place due to the 2 cars that elected to pit lane start. And then the start of the race itself got squeezed onto the grass by Lance Stroll and pushed into the barrier. Maybe a little bit overambitious for Bortoleto being there in the first place, but out on lap 1 at your home Grand Prix after you've just suffered a heavy shunt in the sprint race, unable to take part in qualifying. It wasn't really necessary to try and be a hero on lap 1, was it? So it is an of the week to Gabby Bortoleto. I've spared him any major deduction of points and things. I know people probably think he deserves it, but yeah, maybe the occasion just got to him a little bit. His own Grand Prix. We always know as well that 9 times out of 10 the Brazilian circuit tends to curse the Brazilian drivers. Just look at the look Rubens Barrichello had there over the years. So, yeah, a big shame, you know, really big shame. I was hopeful for Gabby, especially when Hulkenberg did so well in the qualifying, the sprint and the main qualifying as well, of course. But yeah, just didn't go his way, and that's a shame. Real shame, because he's been such a good rookie this season, been an underdog of a rookie. No one really expected much from him, and he's exceeded a lot of people's expectations. But this one just wasn't it, I'm afraid. So it's got to be an of the week. Don't want to be too harsh with him. But yeah, I think that also takes him to a final warning as well. So everything, guys, those were the runners and riders of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Let me know down in the comment section, Desco. Any drivers too high? Any too low? The updated standings with the scores I've just awarded are on the screen now for you to take a look at. Have a look and see where your favourite driver is right now. Honestly, this series could go any which way, couldn't it, at the moment? It really could. I know, of course, George Russell's still out there with quite a handsome lead of 17 points, which is a lot. It is a lot, I know it is. But Leclerc in second. He's doing a solid job. Hulkenberg holding on to third, but then look at that. 144, 143, 142 and a half, 140. There's a big gaggle there for third place at the moment, and Ollie Bearman is shooting up the order with his ridiculous performances in recent races. Let's take a look at the ones that have got the final warnings then. So, of course, we've got Oscar Piastri on a final warning. We've got Colapinto on a final warning. We've got Lewis Hamilton on a final warning. We've got Esteban on a final warning. And we also have Andrea, Kimi, Antonelli as well. So 5 of them left. With final warnings, they can make no more mistakes in the final 3 races, or they will be out of here. Lando Norris with 1 more chance, so he's not doing too bad. Gabriel Bortoleto only had 3, actually, so he's okay. He should be okay to last the season, but tumbles down the order somewhat after yet another difficult day at the office for him. We'll take a look at the team standings as well then, shall we? Well, we may as well, haven't we? We may as well. Mercedes now out in front, followed by Stick Kick Me Up the Arse Sauber. That's a good effort, that. Good top 2, that. Good top 2. Ferrari drops a third with the of the week and -10 from Lewis Hamilton, but they have -1,100 to come off of their score, so you know where they're going to end up come season's end. McLaren tumble all the way down to the bottom of the pack now after I have wiped all of the points away from Oscar Piastri's total. That comes off the team total as well, I'm afraid, so tough shit there, McLaren. You've got a driver that's bottling it. That means you bottle it on this series as well. A massive thanks as always goes out to Dan Barlow, of course, for providing me with the scoreboard that you just saw on your screen, for the driver icons in the corner of your screen, and for the intro at the start of the video as well. Without him, this series would be more pointless than it already is. And who can forget Mr. Dave, F1 Games PlayStation, for providing me with the of the weeks that you don't necessarily know, but you just know you're going to love them. Thanks as always for your efforts, guys. We really do appreciate it. We're in the closing stages of the season now, and we're all giving it 100% to get these videos out to you on time. So thank you all so much for watching, guys. I'll see you all again for the Las Vegas Grand Prix, isn't it? So that's probably going to be Tuesday 6 p.m. We'll see how work lies with that one. I don't know if you can currently see how dark it is in this video. Darker than the previous ones. That's because I'm burning midnight oil to get this video out to you on time. Absolute master for the cause, I know. But yeah, work schedule, I think I might be okay for Las Vegas because it's obviously an early morning Sunday race, so I think I'm working Sunday, but I can do it on Sunday night. So it'll still be out on Tuesday anyway. It's not going to go out any earlier, but Tuesday 6 p.m. for that one. Look forward to seeing you all there. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and as always, much love.